Have you ever eaten something you thought was healthy only to end up fighting for your life the very next day? Imagine waking up feeling dizzy, your stomach twisting in pain, your eyes turning yellow as your reflection in the mirror becomes a stranger you barely recognize. That's not food poisoning. That's your body crying out, begging you to stop before it's too late. I'm Dr. Johnny, and today's story isn't just a medical case. It's a warning that what you think is healthy could silently destroy your kidneys and blood cells from the inside out. In the next few minutes, you'll see how a simple handful of plant-based bean snacks pushed one man to the edge of kidney failure, and how understanding one hidden enzyme in your body could literally save your life. Because this isn't about fava beans or fancy diets. It's about the delicate line between nourishment and poison, and how one tiny genetic weakness can turn an innocent snack into a medical emergency. So stay with me, because once you know the truth behind what happened to Kevin, you'll never look at healthy food the same way again. The first sign that something was wrong came quietly, almost too quietly to notice. Kevin had always been the kind of man who laughed at people obsessing over health trends. He believed in balance, a morning walk, good coffee, and his favorite snack to keep him company. But this time the snack was different. It wasn't chips or pretzels. It was something marketed as plant-based protein puffs. Healthier, guilt-free, full of fiber and natural ingredients, or so the shiny label promised. He popped one, then another, until 3 full bags were gone before he realized it. The next morning, though, his body told a very different story. At first, it felt like a hangover, heavy head, no appetite, a dull ache under his ribs. But then the fatigue hit harder, the kind that sits deep in your bones. His urine turned dark, his eyes looked yellowish, and when he stood up, the room spun. Kevin wasn't just tired. His body was breaking down from the inside. What he didn't know yet was that millions of red blood cells inside him were bursting. Imagine that the very cells carrying oxygen to every organ suddenly collapsing, spilling their contents like shattered glass into the bloodstream. From a doctor's view, these symptoms are a red flag we never ignore. Fever, right-sided abdominal pain, and jaundice form a triad that signals something serious, sometimes deadly. Many doctors call it the silent code, because once your eyes turn yellow, it means your liver and blood are already in distress. That's why Kevin was rushed to the emergency room where every minute mattered. IV fluids were started immediately, his blood pressure monitored closely, and a team began running tests to find out what was killing his red blood cells so fast. Here's what the science showed. Kevin's hemoglobin was dangerously low. His blood had lost its oxygen carriers. His LDH levels were sky high, a biochemical scream that tissue destruction was happening everywhere. And his bilirubin, the yellow pigment that makes eyes turn gold, was off the charts. When that number spikes, it means the liver is overwhelmed, drowning in the byproducts of broken cells. The doctors knew this wasn't a liver infection, but something else, something deeper. They ruled out infections, gallstones, and hepatitis. Kevin's ultrasound came back clean. That left only one terrifying possibility: acute hemolysis, massive destruction of red blood cells. To understand what that means, imagine your bloodstream as a highway full of delivery trucks carrying oxygen. Now imagine a sudden explosion on that highway. Trucks shattered their cargo, spilling into traffic. The result: chaos. The free hemoglobin released from those broken cells floods the kidneys, clogging the delicate filters that clean your blood. That's why Kevin's urine turned brown. It was his kidneys screaming for help. Without quick action, those filters could fail completely, leading to dialysis or worse. And yet in Kevin's case, no one knew why it had started. He hadn't been poisoned. He hadn't been bitten. He hadn't taken new medication. Something invisible had flipped a deadly switch inside him. But only knowing this much wasn't enough, because what triggered it was far more unexpected and far more dangerous than anyone in that ER could have imagined. And that's where Kevin's mystery takes its shocking turn. The doctors kept searching for answers, running test after test, but every result only deepened the mystery. Kevin's immune system wasn't attacking his blood. His platelets and clotting levels were normal. There was no infection, no cancer, no toxins in his system. Yet his red blood cells were disintegrating faster than they could be replaced. The team was baffled until one young resident looked through Kevin's blood smear under the microscope and froze. What she saw would change everything. Under magnification, Kevin's red blood cells looked like someone had taken a bite out of them, literally. These oddly shaped bite cells and blistered cells were classic markers of oxidative stress inside the bloodstream. Using a special stain, the lab found something even more telling: small dark clumps stuck inside the cells called Heinz bodies. These are the battle scars of damaged hemoglobin, proof that something had oxidized his blood from within. It was as if his red cells had been attacked by an invisible chemical storm. Now in medicine, when we see that pattern, our minds jump to a specific culprit, one that hides deep in your DNA. The enzyme G6PD, short for glucose-6-phosphate dehydrogenase, is like a tiny shield every red blood cell depends on. It produces glutathione, the antioxidant defense that keeps those cells safe from oxygen stress. Without enough of it, your blood becomes fragile like glass exposed to fire. Most people never notice this deficiency because their bodies handle normal stress just fine. But the moment they face something that triggers oxidative shock, their blood begins to collapse. And that's exactly what was happening inside Kevin. When the doctor sat beside him and started asking questions about his diet, Kevin hesitated, then mentioned the new healthy snack he'd been eating. The doctor's eyes widened. "Were those fava beans?" Kevin blinked, confused. He reached into his bag and showed the crumpled package. Right there in bold print it said, "Made with roasted fava beans." The room fell silent. Suddenly, the puzzle pieces clicked together. Fava beans are infamous for causing massive hemolysis in people with G6PD deficiency. Even small amounts can trigger a chain reaction that destroys red blood cells by the millions. You see, when fava beans are digested, certain compounds break down into oxidants molecules so reactive they can overwhelm the bloodstream. For someone with normal G6PD levels, the body neutralizes these molecules easily. But in someone like Kevin, whose enzyme shield is weak, the reaction turns deadly. In just hours, his blood had turned toxic to itself. What's truly shocking is that this isn't a rare condition. Over 400 million people worldwide carry some form of G6PD deficiency, and most have no idea. In the US alone, roughly 2% of the population is affected, especially those with ancestry from regions once plagued by malaria. Here's the strange twist of evolution. The same genetic mutation that makes blood vulnerable to fava beans also helps protect against malaria parasites. It's nature's trade-off, a survival advantage in one environment, a hidden danger in another. That's why Kevin, who had lived a healthy 65 years without issue, had no clue he carried this silent trait. It took a bag of so-called superfood snacks to expose a lifetime vulnerability buried in his DNA. But only knowing this much isn't enough, because the real danger isn't just in what Kevin ate, it's in how easily this silent weakness can go unnoticed for decades. And what comes next will reveal how close he came to losing his kidneys forever. As Kevin lay in his hospital bed, his color slowly fading back from the sickly yellow that had frightened him, his doctor explained what had really happened inside his body. It wasn't the beans themselves that were poison. It was his body's inability to fight back against what the beans unleashed. Inside every red blood cell, the enzyme G6PD works like a maintenance crew, constantly repairing oxidative damage caused by normal metabolism. But when that crew is missing or underpowered, even mild stress can become catastrophic. Think of oxygen as both a friend and a foe. It keeps you alive, but it also creates unstable molecules called free radicals, tiny sparks that can burn through your cells if left unchecked. Normally, the body's antioxidants, especially glutathione, neutralize those sparks before they cause harm. G6PD is the enzyme that keeps this defense system running. Without it, the body's antioxidant battery drains in minutes, and red blood cells start to fall apart like balloons popping one by one. That's exactly what Kevin's blood test had shown. His antioxidant reserves were nearly gone. Now, here's the part that surprises most people. G6PD deficiency isn't a disease that shows up overnight. It's inherited, passed silently through generations, often from mothers to sons, because the gene sits on the X chromosome. Most people never realize they have it until something like infection medication or food triggers the storm. That's why doctors call it the silent genetic trap. It hides quietly until life throws the wrong ingredient your way. And when that happens, even a healthy food can act like a ticking bomb. Kevin's case became a lesson far beyond one patient. Hospitals across the world see hundreds of similar emergencies every year, often triggered by the same culprits: certain antibiotics, anti-malarial drugs, mothball fumes, and yes, even fava beans. In severe cases, hemoglobin floods the kidneys so quickly that filters collapse within hours, leading to acute kidney failure. One 2022 review in the Journal of Clinical Medicine found that up to 15% of G6PD crises end in kidney complications, especially in older adults who don't hydrate enough. That's why doctors immediately flooded Kevin with IV fluids to flush the broken hemoglobin before it could crystallize inside his kidneys. Within 48 hours, his urine color lightened and his kidney numbers started to recover. From the outside, it looked like a miracle, but it was really science and timing, catching the destruction just in time. And here's where it gets powerful. This condition can be prevented with awareness, genetic screening, family history checks, and simply knowing which foods or medications to avoid can save lives. Something as simple as skipping a healthy snack could prevent a hospital stay. But only knowing this much isn't enough, because there's still one more layer to Kevin's story, one that reveals how oxidative stress, the same force that nearly destroyed him, might also be the secret key to building a stronger body if used the right way. And that final twist changes everything you thought you knew about health. Here's where Kevin's story takes an unexpected turn from near tragedy to revelation. After recovering, he met again with his doctor, not as a patient this time, but as a student of his own body. His doctor explained that the same process that almost destroyed him, oxidative stress, isn't always the enemy. In small controlled doses, it's actually how the body grows stronger. Think of it like training a muscle. When you lift weights, you create tiny tears in your muscle fibers. Those tears trigger repair, and that repair is what builds strength. Oxidative stress works the same way. A little bit of it through exercise, fasting, or even cold exposure signals your cells to reinforce their antioxidant shields. The danger comes when that stress becomes overwhelming, like when Kevin overloaded his system with fava bean oxidants his body couldn't neutralize. This is what scientists now call hormesis, the paradox, where small amounts of stress can make the body more resilient. Studies from the National Institute on Aging show that low-level oxidative stress activates longevity genes, improves mitochondrial function, and enhances detox pathways in the liver and kidneys. In simple terms, the same chemistry that nearly collapsed Kevin's body can, in balance, protect yours. That's why lifestyle choices matter more than most people think. The right kind of stress, like a brisk morning walk, antioxidant-rich foods, and good sleep, strengthens your natural defenses. The wrong kind, like binging on superfoods without understanding your biology, can break them down. Kevin now lives by one rule: listen before you act. He learned to question every label, to know the story behind every healthy claim, and to understand his personal limits. His story isn't about fear, it's about awareness. Because knowledge doesn't just heal, it prevents. If you know you have G6PD deficiency, avoiding fava beans, certain drugs, or harsh chemicals isn't restriction, it's self-defense. And if you don't know, a simple blood test can reveal more about your health than years of guesswork. This experience reshaped Kevin's philosophy. Health isn't about chasing trends, it's about learning your body's language. And that's something every one of us can start doing today. Pay attention to the foods that make you feel heavy or tired. Notice changes in your skin, your urine color, your energy levels. These are messages, not coincidences. Your body speaks. The key is to listen before it has to scream. But only knowing this much isn't enough, because there's still one final truth, the part no one talks about: why a simple daily habit could be the difference between protecting your kidneys for life or silently pushing them toward failure. And what you'll discover in that final chapter may change how you think about your health forever. After everything Kevin went through, his story revealed one final truth, something that doesn't come in a lab report, a pill bottle, or a food label. It's the habit that quietly decides whether your kidneys heal or decline every single day: hydration balance. Most people think drinking lots of water is always good, but the reality is far more delicate, especially for anyone over 60 or with weakened kidneys. Kevin learned this the hard way. In the days after his crisis, his doctors didn't flood him with endless water. They carefully balanced every drop, because both extremes, too little or too much, can damage the kidneys. Think of your kidneys like two master filters working 24 hours a day, cleaning nearly 180 liters of fluid daily. When you overdrink, you force them into overdrive. When you underdrink, toxins concentrate, thickening your blood and increasing creatinine levels. The National Kidney Foundation reports that poor hydration habits contribute to a 30% faster decline in kidney filtration among adults over 55. That's not dehydration leading to thirst, it's microdehydration, the slow, unnoticed strain that builds over years. Kevin's kidneys were already stressed by the hemolysis episode, and improper fluid balance could have tipped them over the edge. That's why his recovery plan included something deceptively simple: strategic hydration. Instead of chugging water at random, Kevin followed a rhythm: 8 to 10 ounces upon waking, steady sips through the day, and stopping 2 hours before bed to let his kidneys rest overnight. It wasn't about quantity, it was about timing and awareness. Within weeks, his energy improved, his urine cleared, and his blood tests stabilized. It's proof that sometimes the most powerful medicine is rhythm, not restriction. This principle extends beyond Kevin's case. For millions living with early kidney stress or high creatinine, adopting a mindful hydration habit can lower creatinine by as much as 0.4 mg/dl in 3 months, according to research from the University of Wollongong. The kidneys thrive on consistency, small, repeated acts of care, not heroic extremes. It's the same balance that keeps the heart steady and the blood clean. And that's the kind of power. We all have the ability to choose habits that heal instead of harm. But only knowing this much isn't enough, because there's still one last revelation. The emotional heartbeat of Kevin's journey, the moment he realized that healing wasn't just about his kidneys, but about every choice he made moving forward. And that final moment might just change how you see your own health forever. So what can we learn from Kevin's story? That sometimes the things that harm us the most are the ones we never question. But awareness, just knowing how your body works, can change everything. Your kidneys are quiet, faithful workers. They don't complain until it's almost too late. But you can protect them, starting today with simple choices. Stay hydrated with balance. Eat real foods. Limit hidden sodium and processed snacks, and always listen to what your body's trying to tell you. Prevention isn't dramatic, but it saves lives. If this story opened your eyes, don't let it stop here. Save this video as a reminder for yourself or someone you love. Share it with a friend who might think healthy snacks are always safe. And if you haven't yet, hit subscribe and turn on the bell icon, because every week I share new evidence-based kidney health insights designed to help you lower creatinine, protect your filtration rate, and feel stronger every single day. Remember, healing isn't about perfection, it's about awareness, small actions, and consistency. Even if you've made mistakes before, your kidneys are resilient. They respond to care, to calm, to better choices. Your health story isn't written in stone. It's rewritten every morning you wake up and choose to take care of yourself. So keep learning, keep believing, and never stop taking small steps toward a stronger, cleaner, and calmer body. I'm Dr. Johnny. Thank you for watching. Stay curious, stay healthy, and I'll see you in the next video.